Twarz dostał, zaraz się wykrwawi!
Ceasefire! That's us!
Ready for deployment.
In 2018, when the Battlefield-esque shooter World War III first hit early access on Steam, it was really obvious what they were aiming for, and that was replacing Battlefield, which was struggling with a truly awful marketing campaign for Battlefield 5. On the Battlefield franchise side of things, Battlefield 1 had been a huge success, but the fans were really ready to go back to Modern Warfare. It really looked like World War III was teed up to explode. I actually got to see their booth at Gamescom in 2018, and it was wildly popular. Unfortunately, when it hit early access later on that year, the servers just buckled under the weight, and the game's very crucial first month was a disaster. And by the time that they had servers working again, the players had just disappeared. So, 3 years later, it is back and ready for round 2, as Battlefield 2042 appears to give it an opening to once again become a true Battlefield killer. But what's actually happened in the last 3 years? Has the game actually improved, and when it goes free to play later on in March, is it actually worth trying out even for free? We're going to dig into all of that here in this video.
Oh, on me. Yep. I didn't see this guy.
Oh, through the corner. Nice. My arm. Behind the truck. Oh, I blew up his C4. They were all hiding in a pile. Whoa. So that's an enemy tank right there. Running away.
I think there are guys above me here. I heard footsteps, I don't know. Maybe it was you.
No, I hear him, Whoa! That ragdoll down the stairs. Well, as you guys can see, this game definitely has its moments. But for those of you like me that played the original early access version, you might also notice that things kind of feel very, very similar. These are all maps that we've played before. These are for the most part all guns that we've used before. The vehicles and all are quite familiar. So what has actually changed in 3 years? Well, first of all, the plan for the game to keep it populated. The biggest news for the game is, while you can still buy into the current closed beta for about $14, the game is going to be going free to play completely in March. This does appear to mean that the cosmetic and microtransaction system is going to be pretty aggressive, and it's not just the cosmetics as far as unlocks go, but also your weapons and weapon attachments. The grind is very, very slow even here in the closed beta. There's also a ton of stuff that appears to be locked completely, not just locked until you unlock it, but is just unavailable here in the closed beta. The store isn't really available. We don't really understand what the new in-game currency is for, and all of that is kind of warning bells for me, especially because this game is going to have to really outdo itself to make up for its initial failed launch. And they really have a lot of incentive here to push really aggressive grinds and microtransactions to try and make their money back from 2018. I don't want to sound too negative off the bat though, so let's backtrack just a little bit and talk about some of the positive changes that I have noticed here in the new 2022 well, really 2021 closed beta. What can I say? I'm a bit behind the times already. The gritty and realistic and grounded, almost Tom Clancy-esque war feeling is still here. I think this game's theme and overall aesthetic still holds up well to Battlefield 4, which is kind of everyone's modern combined arms gold standard these days, despite how it was at launch. And of course, without saying it, you guys know this game already feels just thematically way better than Battlefield 2042. I'm going to resist the urge here to just drop in another Angel quote. Yeah! Along with that nice, gritty, and grounded aesthetic, the game has actually had a time to kill and weapons ballistics upgrade is what I'm going to call it. It's a big change, and I think it's actually a positive one. Whereas this game in 2018 really was a true Battlefield clone with the more arcade-style Modern Warfare gameplay, it now feels a bit more like Escape from Tarkov. And I say that as somebody who hasn't played Escape from Tarkov in a couple of years now, so bear with me. Focusing back on World War III though, the armor system remains from the original 2018 launch of the game, an armor system that I really like, where you pick your body armor from a lightweight vest to a medium ceramic plate to a heavy steel plate. That's going to affect your ability to, of course, survive bullets, but also your mobility, your ability to sprint and aim down sights and all that kind of thing. It's a really cool balancing game that you don't usually see in a pretty standard, not open world combined arms shooter. It's a bit more depth than you would expect, and I like the armor system a lot. Other than them deciding that steel armor is somehow the best, or heaviest, or most protective, somebody's got to tell these guys about steel armor spalling before someone gets a bunch of fragments in their neck. Friends don't let friends run steel. Beyond that though, I really like the armor concept. In World War III, when you get those armor hits, it's not actually frustrating, but actually quite rewarding when you focus down and get that headshot, or knock their helmet off and get that headshot, and still get a kill, even though they were wearing some heavier armor. As far as weapon handling goes, the overall ballistics and shot drop are definitely exaggerated for the purpose of gameplay. Guns overall kick really hard, and from what I found to be relatively random recoil patterns, that does change with certain unlocks, so we'll talk more about that in just a minute. Just tap firing isn't going to let you beam somebody at 300 yards. You really have to, in some cases, just avoid a firefight completely, which is unusual again for a game that is still relatively casual. The ballistics take some getting used to, but they really stand out as being unique and this game's own style. So big thumbs up to the devs for making their weapon handling feel really unique in a really crowded market out there. There's also not much to say about the maps in the closed beta, the 4 that we have, in a really good way. The maps are all really fun. None of the maps come up and I go, oh man, I gotta skip this one, or oh, I hate this one. The maps are maybe just a tiny bit large for the current 40 player limit. There are times where they get quite quiet, but most of the time you're gonna have a favorite flag, or what do they call it in this game? Just capture points, I guess. You're going to have a favorite location on all 4 of these maps where you can go and fight with your particular style. If you're running support, sniper, marksman, assault, if you're running a vehicle, there's going to be a area of the map that fits your gameplay. I haven't heard any word of a player count increase for this game, but the maps could definitely use it just to fill them out a little bit. They could keep them the exact same size, add about 20 more players, and they'd be good to go. That's some pretty solid positives there, guys, but a lot of those would still apply to the 2018 version of the game. So have they actually gotten the servers working since 2018? And what other bugs have been fixed? Well, that's probably one of the biggest concerns that I have right now, and that's that a lot of the old bugs around the game are still there. There are still some lobby and friend matchmaking glitches, and the game still feels like early access, and I really don't feel like they were working on it for these last 3 years. To me, it feels like the devs had to shelve this game because of its large drop in player count, had to work on some of their other projects, and are now going all in on a full relaunch. Because of that, there are still some serious bugs from 2018 and the past versions of the game that I'm still seeing. One of the worst bugs is that occasionally the audio will just completely glitch out and stop rendering tons of sound effects. You're going to have no enemy footsteps, your guns are going to be silent. At one point, I was running around and I could only hear bullet impacts and like the sounds of distant atmospheric plane sound effects. The game just sounded awful, just completely broken. And it's happened to everyone who's played with me here in 2022 on this new and updated version.
Все граждане должны безоговорочно выполнять указания представителей военной администрации.
That sound glitch was a huge issue in the 2018 beta, and it's very concerning that it's still here today. One quick note on the sound effects themselves: the sound in this game can be really inconsistent. The quality of the sound effects and the overall sound environment in-game ranges from pretty good to acceptable to pretty bad to, again, like I was just talking about, straight up broken. Now, I have seen rumors that they are working on a complete revamp of the sound engine. I hope that will at least fix some of these bugs. I wonder if some of the low sound quality sometimes, where the battle just feels kind of flat, is actually not a design issue where the sound effects just aren't good and aren't set up correctly, but if it is just additional sound rendering issues, if it's a glitch, not a mistake on their design part. Beyond that, big concern, like I already mentioned, the grind is really bad, and the weapons attachments like the foregrips and the muzzle brakes make huge differences to the very intense recoil and ballistics of these guns. The difference between adding a single muzzle brake and a red dot to your gun can turn you into a frontline meat fodder grunt into Laser Beam McGee. Maybe not exactly that bad, but playing with Edgar on our second night trying the new beta out, we unlocked a couple of things and just went, whoa, this is a night and day difference. And the grind that it took to unlock just those single attachments is, again, pretty concerning for a game that's going to be pushing that free-to-play model. I also have to mention the rather janky third-person player animations here. That's one thing that DICE does almost always get right in a Battlefield game, is the smoothing of animations with how players run and turn corners and lean. The animations are very abrupt, and there's almost no transition or acceleration or deacceleration for enemy player characters. It makes it very difficult to track a target when, in the few frames it takes you to aim down sights, the other enemy player who was at full sprint has come to a complete stop, turned, aimed down sights, and is already shooting at you as your scope comes up. The animation just needs some smoothing and less jank overall to make a more enjoyable FPS experience. As far as player count goes, the game is having about 800 to 1,000 players per night on Steam in the closed beta. That's pretty good. If the game goes free to play and gets even, 5 or 10,000 players, that's plenty to keep the matchmaking going. Even here in the closed beta, our longest matchmaking was like 5 minutes, so again, in some ways, it's already outdoing Battlefield 2042. So free-to-play might actually be the golden ticket that these devs needed to bring this game back from the grave. Overall, guys, I walked away relatively impressed, if a little concerned about the to-come monetization schemes. I ended up playing this game for, I think it was 8 or 9 hours recording footage for this video. We had a lot of fun. So here's hoping that they can actually bring this thing back from the dead. I wish the devs the best. Just please remember that not everyone can be your whale as far as income streams for the game goes. Make the game fun to play first. Actually, you know what? Let's back that up. Let's make the game work first, fun to play second, and then make it a moneymaker third. Not every game gets a second chance, so let's hope this one actually pulls it off. For now, thank you guys for watching. I'll see y'all next time.